He invited rich women to replace his son's mother. But his son wanted someone else. Today, I want to share a story that touched my heart so deeply that I couldn't help but bring it to you. It's emotional, it's warm, and it reminds us that sometimes the family we need walks into our lives when we least expect it. In a suburb of Boulder Springs, Colorado, stood a large stone house with tall windows, a wide porch, and a backyard filled with pine trees that whispered whenever the wind passed through. It was the kind of home people admired from a distance. Beautiful. Peaceful. Perfect. But on the inside, it felt cold. The house belonged to Marcus Hale, a 41-year-old businessman who had built a successful construction company from the ground up. People saw him as hardworking, confident, and put together. But few knew about the silent grief he carried with him every single day. He lived there with his only child, 9-year-old Noah, a gentle boy with soft dark hair, quiet eyes, and a heart still recovering from something he didn't know how to understand. 2 years earlier, Noah's mother, Grace, passed away after battling a sudden illness. And from that moment, everything changed. Noah withdrew into himself. He barely spoke. He rarely smiled. He woke up at night from bad dreams and sat quietly on his bed until morning. And Marcus? He buried himself in work. Every day, he left early, came back late, ate dinner quietly, and disappeared into his home office. He convinced himself that staying busy would keep the pain away. But in reality, it only pushed him farther from his son. The rooms stayed tidy. The lights were on. The house was beautiful. But the warmth was gone. As months passed, Marcus began noticing things he couldn't ignore anymore: Noah's silence, his sadness, the emptiness growing between them. One night, Marcus stood outside Noah's bedroom and heard the soft, quiet sound of crying. Not loud sobs. Just heartbreak. And something inside him broke a little. He realized Noah needed more than a roof over his head. He needed connection, comfort, and emotional support. Things Marcus didn't know how to give anymore. He started thinking. Maybe Noah needs a mother figure. Someone gentle. Someone caring. Someone who can bring joy back into his life. And from that moment, Marcus made a decision. Not the right decision. But one he believed was best at the time. He began inviting well-dressed, well-known women from his business and social circles to the house, women who impressed him on paper, women who looked perfect for the role. They showed up with designer bags, expensive perfume, and polite smiles. But none of them looked at Noah. They looked at Marcus. His company. His success. His lifestyle. And Noah saw it. Felt it. Feared it. He didn't want a stranger to become his mother. He didn't want someone filling a role like a job position. He wanted someone who actually cared. On the afternoon Marcus planned yet another visit, Noah overheard him talking on the phone. "She might be a good stepmother," Marcus said casually. Noah stopped in the hallway. The words hit him like a stone. He stared at the floor, trying to swallow the lump in his throat, but the more he tried, the more it hurt. He didn't want another mother. He wasn't ready. He didn't want someone pretending to love him. Mom was irreplaceable. And he wasn't ready for a new one. So, before the guests arrived, Noah slipped quietly out the back door and hurried into the yard. He ran past the garden, past the swing set, and hid behind the old pine tree near the fence, his secret spot. He pulled his knees to his chest and covered his face, fighting back tears. He didn't want his dad to see him cry again. He didn't want anyone to see. The only person who noticed Noah was missing was Lena Hart, the housekeeper who had been working there for the past several months. Lena was in her mid-30s, with warm hazel eyes and a gentle way of moving through the house. Quietly but attentively. She wasn't glamorous. She didn't wear fancy clothes or expensive makeup. But she had something much more important. She had kindness. She had patience. She had empathy. And Noah trusted her in a way he didn't trust anyone else. She was the one who noticed when he skipped breakfast. She was the one who found him awake at night and gently walked him back to bed. She was the one who understood his silence, and never pressured him to talk. So when she realized he was gone, she knew exactly where to look. Sure enough, she found him behind the pine tree, shoulders trembling, his face hidden. She sat beside him quietly. "Noah," she whispered softly, "I'm here. You're not alone. Tell me what's wrong. And for the first time in a long time, Noah let everything out. He told her how scared he was of having a new mother. How he didn't want strangers in the house. How she was the only one who made him feel safe. Lena listened, really listened. And she felt her heart twist painfully in her chest. She couldn't promise him anything. But she could be there for him. So she took his hand and walked him back inside. When they walked into the living room, the women Marcus had invited were already seated, chatting politely, sipping sparkling water, smiling like they were at an interview. Noah looked at them. Then he looked at his father. Then at Lena. Something inside him strengthened. He stepped forward, lifted his chin, and said, "I don't want anyone else. I want Lena to be my mom." The room fell silent. Marcus froze. The women blinked awkwardly. And Lena's eyes widened in shock. Marcus immediately assumed Lena had influenced his son. His voice grew sharp. "What did you tell him? Why would he say that? What are you trying to do?" Lena's heart dropped. She tried to explain, but Marcus was overwhelmed, by fear, by grief, by guilt, and he let it all out in the wrong direction. And right there, in front of everyone. He fired her. Just like that. No warning. No discussion. No chance to defend herself. And with tears in her eyes, Lena quietly gathered her things and left. After Lena left, the house felt colder than ever. Noah shut down completely. He didn't talk. He didn't eat properly. He spent hours sitting by the window, staring toward the pine tree where he and Lena once talked. Marcus apologized for yelling, but Noah didn't respond. And the worst part? Marcus finally saw it, the light in Noah's eyes had dimmed. Then, just 3 days after Lena's departure, something terrifying happened. Noah fainted. Right there in the hallway. Marcus panicked and rushed him to the doctor. After examining the boy, the doctor said something that made Marcus go completely still. "Your son isn't physically ill. He's emotionally exhausted. What he needs isn't a new mother. He needs someone who genuinely cares for him." And with those words, everything Marcus had been avoiding finally hit him. He had been trying to fix grief with logic. Trying to fill a role instead of healing a heart. Trying to move forward without considering what Noah truly needed. And the person Noah needed most was the one he had pushed away. The very next morning, Marcus drove across town to the old apartment building where Lena lived. It wasn't a fancy place, just a small one-room unit with a flickering hallway light and peeling paint. When Lena opened the door and saw him, she didn't smile. She didn't welcome him in. She simply stood there quietly. Marcus took a deep breath. "Lena. I'm so sorry," he said, voice trembling. "I was wrong. I was unfair. And I hurt both you and my son." He told her about Noah fainting. About his guilt. About the doctor's words. About how the house felt empty without her. "I'm not asking you to come back for me," he said. "I'm asking you to come back for Noah. He needs you." Lena's eyes softened. Not because of Marcus. But because she loved that little boy. And so, she agreed. The moment Lena stepped inside the Hale home again, everything shifted. Noah was sitting on the stairs when he saw her. He froze for half a second. Then he bolted forward. He ran full speed into her arms and hugged her so tightly that Lena stumbled back a step. But she held him just as tightly. "I missed you," he whispered. "I missed you too," she breathed. And just like that, the house found warmth again. Noah began eating properly. Sleeping better. Smiling more. Talking again. Marcus started spending real time with his son too. Helping with homework. Cooking small meals. Sitting with him in the garden. And slowly, almost quietly, something began growing between Marcus and Lena. Not rushed. Not forced. Not dramatic. Just natural. Gentle. Real. Two people who once felt broken found comfort in each other's presence. 6 months later, the Hale backyard was decorated with soft fairy lights and simple wildflowers. Friends gathered under the pine tree, the same tree where Noah once cried alone. And there, surrounded by the people who cared for them, Marcus and Lena exchanged vows. It was a small, heartfelt ceremony. No glamour. No extravagance. Just love. Noah stood proudly as the ring bearer, holding the small pillow with steady hands. As he walked down the aisle, he looked up toward the sky and whispered, "Mom, thank you for bringing Lena to us." And at that moment, the last bit of heaviness lifted from his heart. A new chapter began. A healed family stood together. The house finally felt like home again. Thank you so much for listening to this beautiful story. If it touched your heart, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. More warm and meaningful stories are coming your way.